Sure, it's pretty, but what else does the LG Velvet have going for it? This is my LG Velvet review. Good day, you beautiful people! Welcome to LAZADA's Tech, where we do tech in your real life in style. So, we're finally looking at the LG Velvet. I mean, I've been showing you this phone since last week, from the unboxing to the camera test, and my feelings have been pretty transparent. I love how this phone looks, and I think that it's one of the prettiest phones out there, and I've been holding on to this phone for the last week, and it's one of those devices that people actually ask me about because it just looks so good. But like, what else? Yup, you've come to the right place. Let's go on to the review. So, I've not shut up about this color, so that's a given. Aside from that though, this is one tall and thin pretty girl. The thinness is nice because that means a better grip for small-handed people like yours truly. Like, it's a really thin phone. Thinner than most Androids and the latest iPhone, and even with a dual screen case on, it's thinner than previous dual screen cases, or even the Galaxy Fold. I know, I checked. Also, more on that dual screen case later. Aside from being thin this way and this way, you still have that height, so you sort of don't feel like you're compromising so much screen. It's also a very slippery phone. Like, I dropped it twice, sorry. Oh my god. But good news is that frame is pretty solid, and that's the only thing I scuffed. Okay, moving on. It also has IP68 water resistance and wireless charging. The camera arrangement on the back is also pretty distinct and very elegant. LG calls it the raindrop design, which is cool. It's obvious why that is. I also call it the teardrop design, one for every tear shed for other ugly, clunky camera modules. I'm kidding! Half kidding. So up front, we have a curved OLED display. This is crisp and bright, and yeah, I dig it. I like curved screens, I always have. Particularly though, I like LG's always on display selections. This gives you this cute pineapple failing at jump rope, and a number of other different things, including your own photos from the gallery to put on your screen always. Girl, work it. That screen also has an in-display fingerprint scanner, but it doesn't have a face unlock option or a crazy fast refresh rate, although with the refresh rate, I don't really mind. I'm obviously team OLED, so when I get that screen on a phone, I'm personally good, though I recognize that some people like their refresh rates like they like their government response. Fast. That certainly isn't my priority. In phones, I want it on that other thing. What I'd rather not see on phones would be a notch, which this phone has, unfortunately. I mean, I can turn it off, sure, but hear me out. No notches, all screen. Until we get nearer to that reality, we all just have to deal. YouTube and Netflix watching on this phone is a great experience with that screen and stereo speakers. Also, it comes with earphones and an earphone jack, so you have that option too. And though LG has been known for quad DAC on their phones, I've been asked about this so many times. This phone doesn't have that. Personally, I don't mind, but again, for those asking, you probably do, so there's that. I've had no problems with everyday tasks and apps I normally use. The general performance of this phone for my needs have been good. I mean, this thing has enough juice in it to perform well enough, and it's also a 5G phone. As for gaming, it was able to take my casual attempts at PUBG on high settings and Asphalt 9. There's also a game launcher which gives you options and settings for optimized and uninterrupted gameplay. So that won't help me with my sucking in games, but that might be useful for you. I did a camera test on the LG Velvet, so you can check that out if you want to see samples, like so many samples, like the whole video is samples. I'll link that up here and down below. So since I have that, I'll just pretty much wrap up my thoughts in this part of the video. First of all, that 48 megapixel main camera can give you nice photos. The wide is okay, but the zoom is definitely not the best. I mean, this is especially apparent if you're in Asia. Like, so many phones can do these zooms. At least better than this phone can. Then again, I've personally said that I don't mind phones ditching the zoom because you can only ever take so many zoomed moon photos in your life. And then the night mode was okay too, nothing mind-blowing or extraordinary. Additional software camera stuff is cool too, like auto composition or the phone warning me about having my eyes closed on photos. Even these 3D stickers are really cute. On video, I'm really impressed by the 4K offering on both front and back cameras, although I did see some inconsistencies with the footage shot on different settings. I especially love that you can do a live beauty mode on video on 1080p. This is something that a lot, if not most phones can't do. And attention to audio has always been astounding with 3 different audio modes that actually work. The third rear camera is a depth camera for portrait photos, which in effect means that when you're shooting with the rear cameras, you're mainly shooting with 2 cameras, the main shooter and the wide. Especially on video, this sometimes feels like you're limiting your shooting options, and I'm personally missing a bokeh video mode, something that I'm seeing more and more brands put in their phones. In not so ideal lighting situations, performance can struggle, especially with a wide-angled camera. In better lighting scenarios and controlled shooting situations though, I feel like you can produce good videos with this phone.
Like, for example, ASMR videos shot in well-lit, well-controlled environments. This video is actually pretty good, right? Yeah. Oh my god, this is hard. How do people whisper whole paragraphs? How?
So, LG phones have their own quirks, like this dedicated Google button, which in Joshua's words, works the way Google buttons should work. Basically, press and talk like you'd use a walkie-talkie. I like this. It also allows you to change font and accent colors on this phone. Look at mine, it's pink. I love that. Also, you can connect 2 Bluetooth devices at once. And like in a general sense, 2 timing is bad, but in this context, that's a welcome choice. And can we talk about the number of accessories that this phone works with? Yeah, let's do that. I know you've all wanted to hear about the case. Bottom line is, I love it. One too many times I've had a video playing on one side as I chat on Discord, or buy stuff online, or actually basically anything. It also doubles as a viewfinder for shooting weird angles, as a keypad for writing scripts, and it has that LG gamepad feature, which could be fun if you're good at games. Unlike me, my lack of skills is obviously not the phone's fault here, and you can check out Joshua's video on the case if you want to see more gaming stuff, because I just cannot. Oh, and somebody asked in the comments in my previous videos if I could make this into one screen. I can, but it doesn't really look nice, so I don't. I love that tiny notification screen up front though. To be honest, I used the V50 with a dual screen case for a while, and the one thing that I really wanted when I was on it was to have a notification area for when the case was closed. And now, here we are. I honestly feel really vindicated by this case progression. Some things I don't like about this case, well, that notch, because one notch is a no-go in my book, and well, 2 of them, you get it. It also has this tiny, teeny plug thing that you use to charge the case. Like, oh my god, I'm probably gonna lose this, but all things considered, and to those who are asking, yes, I really do see myself using this case. In some regions, this case also comes bundled with a phone, so that's a very good deal. This thing also works with a Wacom pen, which I don't have, but again, that's added flexibility to your use case for sure, so that's really cool. This thing's battery on average lasted me a whole day's worth of use. My screen on time ranged from 3 hours and 40 minutes to 4+ hours. And then reviews came out and I saw other reviewers logging on 5 to 6 hours of screen on time, and I was like, what? Maybe it's the tropical heat that makes my phone struggle. Maybe it's the amount of selfies I take. Maybe it's the bajillion Discord notifications I get. Also, join our Discord. I'll link it down below. We will never know. Also, why screen on times aren't really a good gauge of battery prowess, but at least you guys get an idea. Either way, like I said, this phone does last me a whole day. With a case on, I get more or less 30 minutes less of screen on time. Now comes my main qualm with this phone. Basically, charging from 0 to 100 can take you like 3 hours. And I know. I'm spoiled because after experiencing 0 to 100 in like 40 minutes on phones, I can never go back. But even then, with most mid-range and flagship devices out in the market right now, you can get from 0 to 100 in like an hour 30 minutes. This just takes forever. I mean, I get that for the normal user, this might not be such a big problem, especially since there's also wireless charging, so you can just set it aside and it'll charge by itself. But for me, I guess it's a tiny pet peeve. So, the LG Velvet isn't a flagship, but on the outside, it sure looks and feels like one. No matter how I look at it, I still really like this phone. Call it a personal bias, but I am all for phones that seem to have women in mind when it comes to design. I reiterate, design is one of the main things I look at when I shop for a phone. I mean, sure, specs are a thing, but once it reaches my bare minimum, I'm good. I'm probably gonna go for the shiny one or the pink one or the cute one. And this phone, it's such a beautiful, graceful device. Okay, admittedly, this is not the best spec phone. This also isn't the best phone in terms of performance or the best value for money offer. It is, after all, priced at around $700, give or take. And I am sure this is not a phone for certain users. But again, for the everyday user that values aesthetics, it's still a phone that pretty much is up to par with mid-range standards. Which it is really, we just get confused with how pretty it is. Those shortcomings are things that I'd sacrifice to have a phone that looks like this, and to be able to have the option to work on 2 screens when I want to, and the normal phone when I don't. If you're like me, you might want to check out the LG Velvet. And that is it for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you want to see how I use my tech on a daily basis, you can find me on social media. That's @CisaSaid. Until next time,